Hey guys, and welcome back to another episode of Food School Smarter, Stronger, Leaner podcast on a mission to inspire a world where food makes us better. How was your weekend, guys? Hopefully, it was as ambitious and audacious as Elon Musk's dream to put people on Mars or somewhere there. If you didn't know, this weekend that there was this amazing event, first in the history of humanity, when a private space company sent people to space, to International Space Station. I was watching it live and it was amazing. It just made me feel so inspired by the fact what we are able to accomplish as a race, as humanity, as individuals, because Elon Musk basically moved the whole space industry on a whole other level, starting from zero, being born in South Africa, immigrating to a completely new country and doing such like an amazing thing. And it's not even the only thing. If we talk about Tesla and all the electrical cars, movement and industry, so that was amazing. If you haven't watched it, there are probably a lot of recordings on the internet, so check them out. It's gonna inspire you to get after bigger goals. And today is June 1st. Today is Monday. It's the beginning of summer on calendar. And if not now, when, guys? It's time to wake the fuck up and get after your goals and your dreams, because nobody is getting more time. We're getting less and less of it, each and every one of us. So get after what's meaningful and important to you, because why else leave? I mean, like, if you're not doing something that is meaningful to you, then what are you doing here? Like, did you come to life to make money, eat, I don't know, drink, and that's it? I mean, for me, it's I just don't understand it. Anyhow, guys, back to food. So, today, this episode is dedicated to a healthy diet, what it is and what it is not, and some common mistakes all of us should be looking out for not to make them. And we'll talk about how to prevent them, to correct them. And then the rest of the week is going to be dedicated to the story of food, the story of foods on our plates, common foods, and maybe sometimes not so common, how they're made, how they come to our plate, and why some of them are better choices for a human being and some of them are not so good, some of the best food combinations to improve certain function of our health, of our body. A lot of fascinating stuff the rest of the week, and not less fascinating today. So the first thing, guys, a healthy diet. What is a healthy diet? You know, people like to divide foods into healthy and unhealthy, but even when you eat spinach, it can become unhealthy if all you eat is spinach. You can get sick eating just spinach because it contains certain anti-nutrients that are actually not that great for our health, and spinach creates to protect itself from predators that want to eat it, like ourselves, so and other animals. But anyhow, even if if spinach didn't have any of that, if you eat just spinach, you would accumulate certain nutrients and you would be deficient in other nutrients, and overall that diet is not going to be healthy. I'm just talking about the case if you eat just spinach or if you eat just greens. Overall pattern in your diet matters much more than any individual thing. Yet there are foods that probably not good in any amount, like some full of preservatives and artificial colorings, some junk food, and also damaged and trans fats. That is not good in any amount. You cannot make it healthy in any diet. It's still going to be an unhealthy part of any diet. But then there are tons of foods like meats, like some fish, like some vegetables that need to be moderated. Good things in moderation, and junk it shouldn't be there at all. So overall pattern in your diet matters much more. So eating a variety of vegetables, eating some fruit, eating variety of nuts and seeds, of meats and organ meats and fish, the amounts that are suitable for human metabolism, for human digestive health, for human biology. That is important. And the basic rule, as we already talked about many, many times, is a plate rule. Basically, when you have a meal, half of that meal by volume should be different vegetables, green and colorful, non-starchy. Half of your plate, half of the portion of your meal cooked and raw, and then quarter of your plate should be protein-rich foods, and then quarter of your plate might be grains, beans, some fruit, etc. So that is a quite healthy overall diet pattern. But then, of course, you need to take into consideration all the things that you do on top of diet. Do you exercise? Do you move? Or are you barely moving all the time? How much stress do you have? Do you sleep at all? A healthy diet on top of unhealthy lifestyle is not going to be too good for you. And that's why some people get super strict and crazy about the healthiness of their diet, but then their lifestyle sucks, so they have a lot of stress, and so they don't have the health that they want to have. And that's the ultimate goal, to have vitality, energy, health. And if something in your diet, even if it's considered the healthiest food on the planet, if that makes you sick, then it's not healthy or good for you. And that's where personalization comes. A lot of people have different sensitivities, allergies. I'm one of those people. Like, I cannot digest a lot of foods, like nightshades or dairy just don't work for me, no matter how much I like some tvorog. It's a popular Russian sour, kind of like cheese, but not really, product that I absolutely used to love, but it just doesn't work for my body anymore. And so I don't eat it. So overall, diet and lifestyle, they matter much more together than one individual food or superfood. And here we'll talk about one mistake that a lot of people fall for. I used to fall for that too. Isolating some nutrient or some food, like maybe fatty fish, or maybe some superfood like moringa or maca. Isolating one food and consuming it in big amounts, and then not really caring about overall healthy pattern and variety and eating all the nutrients that our human body needs. A lot of us can fall for that, eating, specifically focusing on one specific nutrient or one specific food, not understanding that a healthy diet is the one where you think about everything and you balanced all the nutrients and you get all the vitamins and minerals and fats and proteins that our human body and digestive system need. And so do not focus on some superfoods. Or another one, and it got very popular, those I've been on keto, like strict keto, for quite a while, for several years, and it got really popular. Right now it is really popular in diet community, and so a lot of people want to be in ketosis and talk about keto food, not keto foods, and being really low carb and going high fat. And people are talking about diets that 80-90% pure fat. And again, people are focusing on one thing, the amount of carbs and fats, and forget about all the other stuff. How much stress that dieting strategy gives to you? How is it working out for your digestive system? Does it even suitable for your digestive system? Do your digestive organs can support that? Because a lot of people's metabolism is just not wired for that diet for all the time. And then there is another danger of high-fat diet. If you are eating 80-90% of your calories, of your food from fat does not have many vitamins or minerals at all. Like, I can't even remember what specific vitamins are in the fat tissue of, for example, an animal product. Right? So fat by itself, especially when taken in a form of butter or liquid oil isolated from whole foods, that fat usually have very few, little or no nutrients at all, no essential vitamins or minerals or other substances that our human body needs. And so if you are getting that nutritionally empty except for calories, energy source being fat, and that is again 80-90% of your diet, it is impossible to get all of your vitamins and minerals from whole foods for the rest of your diet, like in that 10% of calories, like 200 calories or so. So if you are constantly on this kind of diet pattern, then you're going to be deficient in many nutrients that will compromise your health on so many levels. And it's not a good news. And it doesn't matter how little carbs you eat. If you're constantly deficient in essential for human life, vitamins and minerals, the amount of carbs you are eating or not eating, you're not going to correct that. And that goes to any of the elimination diet. Vegans or being super focused on fasting all the time, every day and all the time as much as possible, or any sorts of mono diets, or eliminating certain foods does not correct nutrition deficiencies. Eliminating certain foods does not provide you with essential vitamins and minerals. And so if you are deficient, for example, in vitamin D, eliminating all the carbs from your diet will not correct that deficiency of one of the most vital and essential hormone-like substance or vitamin. So eliminating foods, if you are eliminating a lot of foods, just make sure that you're still getting all the essential vitamins and minerals, not from pills, not from supplements, because studies show one after another that supplements do not work nearly as well as whole foods do for human body. Plus, there are so many things that can go wrong with inappropriate supplementation. So guys, eliminating certain food groups does not correct nutrition deficiencies. Now, adding in some more nutritious foods, the most nutritious foods are green and colorful vegetables and greens, and different kinds of fish and shellfish especially, and organ meats, and then nuts and seeds, and some legumes and pulses if you tolerate those well. Those are nutritious foods, and adding them in can increase the amount of energy and health you have, not eliminating them. So when you eliminate stuff, just remember, guys, that with every and each food group, you are eliminating a set of essential nutrients. So make sure that you are getting those nutrients somewhere else. My personal story, as I shared with you earlier on this podcast, I do not tolerate dairy. It makes me bloated, and I have very digestive issues, and my skin just breaks out with all sorts of stuff. So dairy does not work for me, and my energy levels go down. But dairy, especially cheese, especially hard-aged cheese, is an amazing source of calcium, of highly absorbable bioavailable calcium. Just 40 grams, 1.5 ounces of aged cheese, like Pecorino Romano, for example, or Parmigiano Reggiano, will give you about half of the calcium that you need, maybe a little bit less, but somewhere around that. So half of the calcium you need per day. And so if one day you decided to eliminate all the dairy, and before you were eating a lot of it, getting quite a lot of calcium, if one day you eliminate it completely because of some issues you're having, and you're not substituting it with some other food source that will provide you adequate amount of calcium, like canned fish that was canned with bones, for example, or what else? Maybe sesame seeds, maybe some vegetables, like Napa cabbage that have some calcium. If you are not substituting with those foods, not getting the needed for your body amount, about 1,000 milligrams or more of calcium, then you're going to run into a lot of health problems, because calcium is one of the most important electrolytes elements in our body that not only supports our bone health, our teeth health. It supports a healthy digestive system, heart rate and heart blood pressure, and so many other things. So calcium is hugely important, and it's just one example. So again, when you're eliminating certain food group, make sure that you are getting those nutrients that you were getting in that food group somewhere else. I highly recommend to check yourfood.com for checking the nutrients in certain foods, food groups. And then whenever you need to eliminate something and you want to substitute it for something else, make sure that you're making a good substitution. Like, for example, if you are eating liver and then you decided for vitamin A and then you decided to go vegan, make sure that you are getting adequate amount of vitamin A on a regular basis, and make sure that your specific digestive system can absorb and digest vitamin beta-carotene and make it into vitamin A. So that was on food elimination, different food groups and superfoods that we start just putting this healthy halo on, and then we don't pay attention to overall diet and lifestyle, and then something breaks because we started to not pay attention to important stuff. So make sure that you are not doing that and you're not falling for this pattern. And again, the whole diet, a balanced, healthy diet, it's got to be a part of a healthy lifestyle, and you need to look at all the details, not at one individual food or one individual food groups. That's it for today, guys. So we talked about, again, a healthy diet being a holistic thing. You can't assume that if you eat a lot of kale that your diet is overall healthy. Too much kale actually can damage you, especially if juiced. And then the second thing, you need to look at your diet as a whole, diet and lifestyle. And then when you eliminate certain food group, like carbs, for example, for some people it's a whole food group, or maybe dairy or whatever that is, make sure that you switch to other foods that deliver the same nutrients, and use databases like checkyourfood.com that I absolutely love to check the nutrition profile of foods that you are substituting. That's it for today, guys. And for the rest of the week, just be ready for some interesting stories about the foods on our plate. The stories about how those foods come to our plate, how they are made, and why it matters for our health. What are some good and not so good foods, and what are some better foods and great food combinations to increase the amount of health and energy you have. So stay tuned for interesting food stories and a lot of hands-on and practical advice to improve your eating habits. Thank you guys for tuning in. Don't forget to share this episode with another person who might be eliminating a lot of foods without thinking about the nutrition they eliminate with those foods. Help those people to change for the better, to prevent possible negative health consequences. So share this episode with at least one another person who would absolutely love it. And in advance, I'm grateful for you doing that. And guys, as usual, till next time, eat better daily.